Morning, everybody. It is 8:11 a.m., April 8th. Welcome to my channel. This market is insane. Yesterday, market just ripped higher, like a huge move higher, and I was like, "Whoa!" I was in a bunch of positions in SPX options, and they were like, I couldn't get over how much some of these. I put these back spreads on, and they literally one of them I paid $0 for, and it went up to like $6, right? And I was like, oh my God. And then all of a sudden, I'm seeing my Ninja Trader futures like moving up. But I look over and I'm looking at SPY and I notice that it's like selling off. And I was like, what the heck is going on here? Well, then I find out that the news of a 90-day pause of tariffs was fake news. And then the move got reversed. And I was like, oh my God, this market is insane. This market is crazy. And I was like, wow. So I had to wind up closing some of those positions. I mean, I made money. I had a nice day, but like it could have been a lot better if that news was not fake. But it just showed you that's all the markets need to move. I mean, that was a monster move. Okay? So, we'll get into a bunch of stuff in a little bit. Without further ado, welcome to my channel. My name is Steven Gonzalez. I use market profile and volume profile to find structure in the markets along with supply and demand gamma exposure levels, the most traded price of the year, the month, the week, and the previous day, along with my market internals that show me what's going on underneath the hood of the markets. Okay? Hopefully, what I show you will help you impart some new knowledge on the markets. Okay? Now, hopefully, you join me every morning. I give you the lowdown on the markets, the story, the leaders and the laggards, the market news, the economic calendar, and I give you daily chart analysis and long and short trade scenarios in the ES and the NASDAQ futures. Okay? So hopefully you join me every day. And if you do like what you see, please smash that like button. That'd be much appreciated. Okay? Now let's get right into this watch list here. See what's moving markets this morning. Okay? Even with that fake news scare, the market was due for a bounce, and the market has bounced. I would have been in that move still with those positions if that fake news didn't come out, which stinks, but that's just how it is. Okay. Now, Russell up 3.30. That's been the most beaten down index. Dow up 3.02%. ES up 2.72%. The Nasdaq's up it's moving around on me. Up 2.62%. Ethereum up 2.65%. Bitcoin's up 2.46. Silver's up 2.45. Gold's up 2% basically. 10-year yield though is up 1.86. Crude's up 0.69. Dollar is down 0.26. 30-year bonds being sold down 0.72. And the VIX is down 14.52%. We have a 40 VIX. We have a 40 VIX. Got up to 60 yesterday. All right, let's move on to Mag 7 Plus. Let's see what's moving these markets around. Broadcom. Broadcom's leading the pack up 6.54. They mentioned a big buyback, share buyback program. That is helping that stock. That stock went down to like it was in the 130s. So that's making a nice move. Nvidia is up 4.58%. Boeing's up 4.16. Tesla's up 3.88. Amazon up 3.85. Everything's moving around on me. JP Morgan up 3.69, Netflix up 3.48, Berkshire Hathaway up 3.41, GE up 3.31, Coinbase up 3.26, Google up 0.270, and Eli Lilly up 2.66, Apple up 2.25, Microsoft up 1.44, and AMD is up 1.37. Okay, that's what's going on with the Mag 7 Plus. Let's look at those sectors. And let's see who's leading. Yesterday, the laggard was semis. Now the leader is semis. That's no surprise. Semis up 3.34%. You got financials up 3.15%. Discretionary up 2.90%. Technology up 2.75%. Healthcare up 2.63%. Industrials up 2.52%. Energy up 2.34%. Basic materials up 2%. Communications up 1.90, utilities up 1.65, staples up 1.29, and real estate up 1.21. So it's a broad-based move right now. Markets all up everywhere. Okay, we were due for some type of bounce. All right. Now, we're going to get into some economic calendar, some news. Let's do that. So today, what's on the schedule for today is just Fed Daily speaking at 2 and have API crude 4:30. Okay. FOMC minutes is tomorrow. We look at some stock news here. Let's look at that together. I'm not even sure if I put this up. I think I did, but all right. So we have Tesla. Tesla stock rose 2%, bouncing after the losses of around 13% over the last week. After the Washington Post reported that CEO Elon Musk has asked U.S. President Donald Trump over the weekend to reverse his sweeping new tariffs. Uh, Broadcom, as I talked about, stock rose 3.3% after the chipmaker said it was launching a new share buyback program of 10 billion, set to run through the end of the year. Marvel Technology stock gained 3.9 after Infineon Technologies said it would buy the semiconductors automotive Ethernet business for about 2.5 billion in cash. Humana stock soared 13% and United Healthcare jumped 6% after the US announced a 5.06 increase in payment rates to private insurers for 2026 Medicare Advantage health plans. I'm loving that. I am a proud owner of United Healthcare, so that is helping that stock rip right now. United States Steel stock rose 1.5%, adding to the previous session's 16% gain on the news that President Trump has ordered a review of the company's block deal with Japan's Nippon Steel. General Motors stock rose 1.2% after the auto giant revealed a new all-electric Chevrolet Corvette concept car as part of the opening of a new design studio in England, recommitting itself to Europe. CVSL stock jumped 8.2% after the healthcare company named United Parcel Service executive Brian Newman its new chief financial officer, the first top management change for the health insurer under the CEO David Joyner's leadership. Okay, that's what's going on there. Now let's get into more news. Okay, China to fight to the end as countries plot responses in Trump tariff war. Walgreens second quarter profit beats ahead of Sycamore Partners deal close. We already know about the health insurance. Democratic U.S. senators question Google and Microsoft's AI deals. CVS, we talked about that already. Let's see what else is going on here. Levi Strauss, the company, maintained on Monday its annual forecast for sales and profit, excluding the impact of tariffs, and posted quarterly profit ahead of the Wall Street targets. What else here? Just trying to see. Paramount Global, Skydance Media, and Paramount Global's $8 billion merger would be automatically extended by 90 days after its deadline of April 7th under the terms of the company's agreement. The companies are awaiting regulatory approval for the deal to close. What else here? PNC Financial Services Group, the lender, on Monday appointed former BlackRock executive Mark Wiedman as president, effective immediately. All right. Picture of the day. Interesting. Alrighty. Let's look at the juice. What's the juice got for us today? Let's see. Global equities recovered and some early indications of calm return to Wall Street after the largest 3-day drop since 2020, with investors focusing on the possibility of huge trade talks. Let's just see. I mean, I know Scott Bessent, the Treasury Secretary, was talking. Let's see if there's any red here. China Foreign Ministry on latest Trump tariff threat. If the U.S. insists on waging a trade tariff war, China will fight to the end. We just said that before. All right. I think that's all we're going to do there. And I think that's it. We're moving on. Let's move on to daily charts here. So, let's look at what we did yesterday. Okay, so what we did yesterday, here's that trend line. We pierced it. We opened here, pushed down, went all the way up to here, but closed here. That was that wild move. Okay, wild move. Where are we at now? Wow, that is a big move. So yesterday we closed at 504. We are at 517 right now. We are all the way up here. All the way up here. Okay. So we're getting a bounce today. We had a bigger move yesterday, believe it or not, intraday. But still a big move based on the close. Let's look at futures. That is not futures. Hold on. Okay, so you can see here in futures, bottomed out yesterday. This is last week's lows. We're back inside last week's range. Okay. So let's just see what happens here. We just had big selling candles here. Let's just see what goes on here. Let's look at SPY. I'm sorry, SPY. Qs. All right, so Qs. We look to the left. What did we do? We came down to around this little area right here. The low was 4239. All right. Same thing, pushed down, went all the way up, actually took out Friday's candle, but then closed all the way down here. We closed at 423. We're at 434 right now. So we are right here. We're in the upper portion of yesterday's range, 434. Okay. 434. Remember the big gap above us still. Let's look at futures just to get a little view. There's the bottom out of futures. There's last week's lows, and we're now creeping into last week's range. Let's just see what happens. All right, moving on to the triple-headed monster now. Triple-headed monster. Let's go to that bond market. 10-year yield. All right, so big buying yesterday in 10-year yield, which means selling of bonds. So big candle here. Look where that ripped down. All the way up back to the 200-day moving average. That's where we're right now. Now, will this become a swing high and we will fall? Don't know, but that's quite a move. That just means that bonds were overbought, right? So let's just see if this trend continues. Okay, moving on to the dollar. The dollar looks like it's a little weaker today. So yeah, does that become a swing high? I don't know. Let's put a trend line on this. Right there. Okay. It's kind of a wait and see to see what that dollar does. Okay. Finally, let's look at our fear gauge, the VIX. This is 30 days out of fear. Okay. Look at that. Went all the way up to a 60 VIX yesterday. We are hanging out at 40. Still very volatile. Still very volatile. Okay. Still fear in these markets. There's still uncertainty in these markets. All right. That's how we're looking right now. Now, before I go to market profile, volume profile, I want to show you where we're at now, currently, okay, in the ES, in the NASDAQ, on the hourly charts. A very important level I will share with you, okay. So, two levels I want to show you guys. All right, so from the low that was made in the overnight session yesterday, okay, this low, I have an anchored VWAP. Look what happened here. Pierced, right? And then it acted as support around this candle. And now it's been supportive, right? Check this out. This is when the tariffs, this is after tariffs, okay? And this is the anchored view up from this big candle that sold off. You can see it was resistance. Resistance yesterday went right up to it, right? And now, where are we now? Right there. Okay, so the sellers, right? This average seller is getting challenged right now. You're getting a little selling here, and that is understandable. But that's what's going on right here. That is your ES. That's around 522.21. That anchored VWAP from this big selling candle. Okay. If we break this, that just means sellers start underwater. I would probably expect a pop. Maybe try to fill this gap. Okay, that is your ES. Now, if we're going to talk about the NASDAQ, same thing. Okay, same thing. There's that anchored VWAP from this candle. We are challenging it right now. You can see the anchored VWAP from this low. Support, support, support. And now you can see we're hitting the anchored VWAP from this large selling candle. Okay, this is right after the tariffs were announced. So, very important level we are at. Okay, just wanted to share that with you guys. All right, I think we can move on. Let's move on. We're going to go to the market profile, volume profile. Just give me a sec here. Alrighty. Let's talk about the profile. Let's move this up. Let's talk about yesterday, which is friggin' nuts. Alright. So yesterday, wild session. Opened, pulled down, pushed down, right into this demand. Got bought up, right? And then that news came out of the pausing of the 90-day tariffs, and you just rocketed it. It was like crazy move. And then it was shown that it was fake news, and then it went back down. And then we just did this. Moved up a little bit. But we really, once that happened, I said, this is probably going to be a range bound market now. No one knows what to make of this. No one knows what to make of that news. Just that it comes out that a 90-day pause, and then all of a sudden that's fake. That just made the market go into a range. And it really, like a really balanced profile at the end of the day. Okay? Now, this overnight session, okay? Look at this inventory here. Pretty much 90% net long at the top of the range of the overnight. Pretty balanced profile. Pretty balanced profile, okay? We have some big levels to talk about. Big, 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 big. All right. So, number one, we have demand zone here. In the overnight low, the close, right? Last week's lows, and the most shredder price of the week and yesterday all are in this area. Buyers want to defend that price, okay? Buyers want to defend that price. Now, let's see what else we have. I'm just trying to see what else we have. That's really important area, be honest with you. It's also the 50% retracement of yesterday's move, the midpoint of yesterday. So this is just very crucial for the market. I would say it's a bull bear line. So that level's 51.10. Okay, 51.10. So let's make this neater. It's really this area. So many levels there. Crazy. You do have single prints from yesterday. You do have single prints. Okay. So they can get clean pretty easily. You can see that very, 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 very thin profile. Okay. That's pretty much what we're dealing with. Now, above this, you have, it's early still, month to date VWAP, 58.42. We have supply and a gap. This is all the gap. We have yesterday's highs, okay? And we still have this demand zone down here. That was defended. Okay? So, think about this. If you were long from here, you have your stop here, you're getting paid. That's never got taken out. then you got a big move. We closed up here. Now longs came in again. They're getting paid. 100%, close to 90% net long in the overnight at the top of the session. Usually this is due for some type of little bit of correction. Okay. Let's call the 5110 the bull bear line right here. There's too much confluence here to not be that important. I mean, it's just the most traded price of the week, the most traded price of yesterday, last week's lows, the close, the midpoint, demand. It's just, there's so many levels here. Okay. So we're going to go ahead and accordingly go with the bull side. Let's do that. Okay. And like I said, it's pretty much net 100, close to 90% net long in the overnight. Right. So what would I like to see? All right. Maybe we open up, push up a little bit, and then we get that selling. Okay. Now, 5184 is the most traded price of the overnight. Could that be supportive? Yes. And then we could move up and see what we could do into this gap. Do we fill the gap? Don't know. Go right into supply. Now, that's number one. Number two, you go deeper, pull back into this big area. Okay. You don't want to find acceptance below this area. So if you come in this area and do higher low, this could really take off and see if you could fill that gap. The last thing I would say, this could be a bear trap and you break this area, recover, and do the same move. I'm probably much not super interested in much underneath this level. Can you get a bounce down here? Of course. Okay. But if you find yourself here, that means the market is very weak. All right. And I'm not saying you can't get a long there, but we'll be very weak if we're down there. So I'm probably not interested in that as much. All right. Short side. Short side. Okay. So now we talked about this bear bull line right here, 5110. Okay. We are 90% net long. 90% net long. So if you're a short and you're bearish, you want to see a push up. If we hit yesterday's highs, right, or tap the bottom of this gap and you get a higher low or lower high, I'm sorry, we can correct and we can go into the most traded price of the overnight or this area. And if you land here, that could be the trade, right? Now gravy on top of this would be to break through this big bull bear line level and find acceptance. Now you could try to test out yesterday's lows. Okay, do you break that today? I don't think so, but that's what I'm looking at. Okay. One thing that can happen too, if you do start going to this gap, you do have the month-to-day VWAP here. Now, there's a chance we can move up, tag that month-to-day VWAP, and then roll. I don't think so. The momentum, I think, if we start ripping into this gap, is we're going to go higher. Okay? That is your ES analysis, okay? We're going to move on to the NASDAQ now. Let's move on to the NASDAQ. Let's see what we're working with here. Pretty similar structure. Again, so these markets are pretty much in sync with structure. Okay, so let's look at these levels. It's pretty easy. Okay, let's mark it up. So same thing here. This level happens to be, let's call it 176.87 with demand. Most traded price of the week, the close, overnight lows, right there. That's your bull bear line. Okay. Then we have a gap overhead. We have yesterday's highs, and we still have an unfilled gap up here with the month-to-day VWAP, just like the ES right there. Okay. We are close to 90% net long as well. Close to the top of the session. Very balanced profile. Most traded price of the overnight is 178. So this is all very similar. Okay, very, very, very similar. Of course, you have demand down here that was supportive yesterday. Okay, so this is going to be very easy. It's very simple. The same scenarios. Okay, let's get into it. Alrighty, start with the bull case. All right, so we could push up, come through the open, and there's where we correct, right? Right into this area. If we find support, higher low, I believe we're going to tap yesterday's highs and probably fill this gap. Okay, anything below, acceptance below this area is not good. Okay, not good at all. So, as far as down here, don't get me wrong. There's a possibility in the NASDAQ you have value area low here at 172.36, and you have the most traded price of yesterday with the week to date anchor VWAP. Could this possibly get support? Yes. That would be your last line of defense. You don't really have a level like that in the ES. Like I said, under this level, it's going to be shaky. It's the market can't be too weak for me to be interested in that level, but that's a scenario, okay? Now, we want to look at the bear side. Let's look at the bear side. Okay. So we know we are 90% net long, just like we were in the ES. So this is pretty similar here. We could push up, right? Then we go lower high, come through that open. This is your corrective activity, and that could be the trade. And again, gravy on top of this would be break through this level, find acceptance, 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 and then you can crack through yesterday's most traded price weekday VWAP and challenge yesterday's lows. And again, do we break this? You put it in the scenarios, but I don't believe we're into a breaking the lows from yesterday's today, unless there's some news catalyst. Okay? That's your scenarios, folks. Okay? That will do it. Please give me some love. Smash the like button for me. That would be much appreciated. Okay? Much appreciated. And of course, follow me and join me every morning. I give you the market story, the lowdown, the leaders and the laggards, the market news, the economic calendar. Of course, we go over daily charts, which you already did, triple-headed monster, and then we come into the long and short trade scenarios that I just gave you on the ES and the NASDAQ. They're both the same scenario in structure, just obviously different prices with two different futures products, instruments. Okay? So we got a plan now. We have a plan. This market is due for a bounce. So, like I said, that first pullback could be the chance. Of course, let's see what's going on under the hood when the market opens. Okay, we have to see that. All right? So, with that being said, just to let everybody know, with this crazy volatility, I have switched over to what I used to do a lot was SPX 0DT options. Okay, yesterday I had bull put spread on, I had a broken wing butterfly for credit on, and I had back spreads in the SPY and the Qs. They all made money. They would have made more money if that fake news didn't happen. But I'm going to continue to do that until I feel like I can really measure risk in futures. Don't get me wrong, if I see an unbelievable setup, I will not hesitate. However, right now I can control my risk better with the SPX 0DTEs. All right. Now, everybody have a great day. And actually, tomorrow I will be out. I'm actually, for those of you who are listening, if there's anyone listening, I've been dealing with some heart issues with AFib. I am getting a procedure done, which is called an ablation, tomorrow. So I will be out tomorrow, and I'm not even sure if I'll be back On Thursday, I should be, but I might not. I don't know if I get that procedure late. I'll probably be in the hospital overnight, so probably might be out Thursday. I don't know. If I'm home tomorrow, which if the procedure's early, I probably will be back on Thursday. All right. So anyway, everybody have a great day, and I'll see everybody possibly Thursday or Friday. All right.